say they have 10 plus power colors in stock and 9 ASUS STRIX in stock. At least their website does.
Yeah, we should be good. So how this, as folks get in, we'll see. We'll check the audio too on that.
Okay.
Sure we're good. This build. We'll get this. Restarted here. Make sure that this power color build is good.
Daddy, is it still going to storm on you?
Yes, it is.
You never go upstairs.
Not for a while. Till 9.
Like black bar.
Okay, yeah, we can bump that over. There we go. Broadcasting thing was over a little bit, so we pushed that video over. This should be up. So as folks log in, I'll explain what's going on. So we're going to do a few different builds today. I'm going to try to make this a little earlier for some of the folks here in the US can actually join, because most of the live streams are usually pretty late. So just did a fresh build with some Devil 13s, or sorry, Red Devil RX480s. These are the 8 gig model. We took the Strix that were in our last night's live stream out of it, because we just got a 7th version of this, and we're gonna do a 7-card build tonight, because I haven't seen too many of those from Cradle to Grave build out there on the web. So we're gonna see what this Red Devil can do real quick, and then we're gonna put it off to the side, and then we're gonna get into that 7-card build real quick, and then if time permits, which it probably will, I'm gonna pull over the Ryzen 1800X build that we have. It's really kind of the render box, but I'm hearing a lot of good things with Zcash on the NVIDIA card. So we're going to try it against some pretty high-end 1080 GTX. It's the EVGA classifieds. They're and I got it pretty overclocked. So I think it's these guys here. Classified editions of the 1080s. These are not the TIs. We will move to some TIs at some point, but we have a pair of these in our render box. We do a lot of the video rendering on, and we'll check that out on how that's going. So I got Jason here with me today, like last night, and he's kind of watching the chat. We can have some coverage. We're seeing what this thing can spin up to. So we're going to provide the BIOS for these. We did some modifications, some trial and error with it, and found that the Red Devils, with trying to keep the power in consideration here, these could come down a little bit. They're about 50, 80 megahertz or power consumption more than the Strix. for the same amount of cards for some reason, almost 100. Actually, that's about 120. So that's right at 1090. So almost 1100 watts of power on these Red Devils, where we were at 940 on the Strix. But the Strix, we found the setting that was most stable where you could plug it in and leave it forever. Had them a hash at about 27.6, where you can see these are almost 29 each. So they can go to 30, so can the Strix. The Strix can be go to right there around 30 mega hash, but you're at like 1250 power when you're doing that, or close to 1200 watts of power. I haven't found too many cards that can hit 30, short of the Nanos and the Fury X's. If you're going to hold 30 and then try to keep it under 1200 watts of power.
There's a question from Martin Nielsen. He's in the market for six GPUs for a new rig he's building, thinking about RX480 Strix. I'm not sure. He's currently running 12 R9 390s for a total of 403 mega hash.
Yeah.
He said he got free electricity.
Well, if he's got free electricity, then I mean, it's not worth really upgrading because you're getting about the same mega hash of your electricity. The only reason why you want to go from those 290 or those 390s is for the power savings, because a 6-card 390 rig is like close to 1600 watts of power.
Getting 403 out of 12 390s is pretty good.
Yeah, you're not going to get a mega hash increase by going to these. What you're going to do is you're going to save the cost per card is a lot cheaper, or it was compared to the 390. And you're going to use a lot less electricity. Like I have a 3-card WindForce 390 rig, and it's using 800 watts of power at like 28 mega hash a piece. If I bump those up to close to 31 mega hash, I am at like almost 900 watts of power for 3 cards. So 900 watts of power is what we got out of those 6 RX480 Strix. So you're getting 3 more cards for the same power usage of the 390. So you're doubling the power usage almost by using 390s. But if you get free electricity, it's kind of irrelevant.
He said he's thinking about the resale value of the cards. So
I mean,
I guess if he can sell the cards for more than what the cost of a 480 is, then I'd say go for it.
Yeah, the average cost on 390s right now in secondary market's about 150, maybe 180. I mean, you could look at completed auctions on eBay. That's what we usually do, just kind of gauge it. And eBay isn't gospel, but it's just a data point. You got to look at it as, irregardless of what somebody will pay for something, with eBay's ability to look at completed auctions, you can at least see from a forecast of kind of what something's going for and what people will pay for something.
And yes, Martin, the heat is something to consider as well.
Yeah, the heat on this stupid little.
Yeah. The 390s will output way more heat than the 480s. So if it's you have these in your living space and you want something that's not as hot, then you might want to consider the 480s.
I would ask too, how's the sound? Just give you guys a check on the sound, since we got some fans going in here. We got a couple rigs up. I try to turn off a lot of the stuff just to make sure the sound's good, but you guys can hear me. I mean, we got a shotgun mic on this now, so it should be a lot better than some of the audio issues I was having before. If that's going. Well, it looks like we had one card go down. I have to pull that card. So the rest of these are locked in right at 28. I'm going to let this run for a little bit longer. It looks like I have one card that's, you always have sometimes one that has the issue. It feels like it's this one right here. This one's not hot at all. Usually this one though is the one that doesn't grab all the heat. So we'll let it go for a little bit longer.
That end is usually the coolest.
So we'll check. So this BIOS on these Red Devils essentially have a fixed overclock on the memory of 2080. So I didn't go 2150 on these. I went 2080. A slight adjustment on the voltage and the timings, the normal timing copy. So the other ones look like they're holding pretty good, but this one just died. I'm going to validate that. Yeah, it dropped by about 90 watts because we're right at 995 watts now, so that card's done. I'm going to let this run for a little bit while we start to get this one updated, and then we'll start building that 7-card Strict build.
Solid Strike asks, why are we using EcoS instead of Windows?
We kind of talked about this last night. EthOS, from a stability standpoint, from us, just the stability of it just seems a lot like in Windows. If you had a card die like this, sometimes it'll lock or crash the whole mining rig. EthOS, as you can see, is still cranking away on these, and it just dumps that card. So from a stability standpoint, it'll keep on trucking. Windows, most of the time, if you have something that's felled on a card, you'll end up getting a display issue to where it like kills your whole display. The ATI driver will crash. There's a lot of other little variables that go on with Windows that I just like to try to take away. Windows updates, you can use Windows pretty effectively if you turn everything off. Set it to basic mode, turn off automatic updates. I mean, it's a mining rig, you're not going to store, valuable data on there. You should not in any capacity. Shut down all the ancillaries on Windows, and then it'll become stable enough to use. I just, between EthOS and SimpleMining.net, most of the rigs, we use the EthOS because the presentation of it's really good too on these kind of videos. Most of these, I'll pull the EthOS off when we go to put them on a rack and just let them sit, and they'll run on SimpleMining.net's software. Just from a remote management and control, the Simple Mining gives me a little more control to do things. So from just staging, from testing, all that, a lot of time I use EthOS. I just like its feedback better. From full-scale operational type of stuff, we'll use Simple Mining's Linux build. The only thing I actually use Windows for anymore really is just to do the updates for the BIOSes. Mainly because just the ATI Wind Flash and all that's a lot easier with the GUI, and it's just more refined. So as right now, I'm going to do this with this last Strict card. We already have a saved BIOS. It's out on our video. If you have these ASUS Strict 8 gig RX480s, we did post the BIOS that we're using for all of these. That's pretty rockstar stable, almost a 28 mega hash at a very reduced rate on power. The whole 6-card rig is less than 950 watts, which is pretty optimized. So that's effectively what we're doing right now on this. I'm going to update this card, and then we'll kind of move this off to the side, and we're going to do that 7-card build right here for you. We'll get through that. We'll kind of put that off to the side behind us, let it run after we're done with the build, and you'll get to see how it's progressing. And then we'll bring over that Ryzen box with the two 1080s in there, and we'll run some Zcash stuff on there. Boy, that's running. Just let you guys see some of that action and see what we can optimize and get on Zcash on the 1080s. Doing the BIOS update right now on the Strict to the modded. You guys can keep the questions coming as we're going through this. Versus having a live stream that's really kind of scripted. Some of those I try to do with very scripted, put things and stuff. We were going to do this anyways and do these builds, so I figured, why not just throw the camera back on and let you guys kind of see this process. It's just more visual experience, and then they kind of go long, but at least you get to see kind of how if we run into something, how we deal with it, and it helps you kind of, predicate your builds. So after I load the BIOS on there, I let it reboot, and then I just run a Claymore 9.2 on Windows just to make sure that it committed the BIOS to the card. And that it's running and it doesn't immediately black screen or anything on me. That's just a sign that the card can't handle it, and then I'll step it down if I need to But these Strix were pretty rock solid on taking that BIOS.
Michael Llanos asks, should I mine Zcash or E? RX cards, MSI, 480, 4 gigabytes. I'm getting 285 on Zcash. Not sure on my ETH scheme.
285 on
So I'm gonna guess that's souls per second.
souls per second. Yeah, I mean that's about what they get from the last time I was mining Zcash. We've been doing nothing but ETH and ETC. So, and I'm not really I mean, there's a lot of people that firmly believe in ETC. I would only do that just for the pure monetization of it personally. I mean, it's not. ETH has a purpose. Ethereum is I think the future, at least from a platform standpoint. So I mean, we mine it to hold it and not so much liquidate it. ETC is really just if it's more profitable, if it peaks more profitability. And Zcash, I'm getting more intrigued with it. I read the white paper; it's phenomenal. I think it does have a place in the world. With regards to mining it, that's what we're going to test and see. I would personally stick with ETH right now if I were you. But if you can hedge it and you can spend one day and split the two and get both, I mean, it doesn't hurt. All right, making sure that I'm picking the right mod on this. I had to do the BIOS trick, or the driver signing trick for this, because this PC we were using for something else, and I had to load the old, or the 17 4.3 driver set on here. So now it's been programmed. So I'm about to pull this. We're going to shut this down. Looks like these other cards are stable at that. It looks like just the one card here on the end is going to be my issue. So what I'm going to do is power this down while I have this PC here. And I'm going to back this card down some and just go timing only on this and see if that holds. Shut down. This card's good to go. And that's the 7th one there. And then we're going to back this card out real quick.
What's the max possible hash rate on ASUS Strix 480 8 gig with BIOS overclock?
Right at 28 is the most stable we've seen. Our mod that we posted is at 27.6, but it's at low wattage. You can spin it all the way up to 29. My problem with the 29 is it was using like 150 watts more power, and wasn't as rockstar stable. So you can get 29 out of them. If you go 2150 on the memory and go with the advanced timing on it, and then don't change any of the power stuff, you'll get close to 30 out of them. But personally, I think you're using more power, and you're not getting the real cost-effective in the stability. So I would stick with the 27.8 BIOS on those, and take the hit, the minor hit on 1 or 2 mega hash to get 150 less power on the entire rig. I mean, it's always a math problem, but if you do the math on it and you look, if you got something that's at, let's just say 27.8 versus 30, you're looking at what, 2.1 mega hash difference across 6 cards, right? So now you're looking at what, 12, 13 mega hash for 150 watts of power. So would you, if you could have a 7th card, you wouldn't do it at that rate. So I mean, it's better to go stable and lower power at 27.8 than it is to go higher power and possibly unstable at almost 30.
Solid Strike would like you to clarify what you mean by advanced timing.
So taking just the timing mod on the BIOS. So if taking the 1750 timing, copying it down to the 20, or the 2000 timing, is what I was talking about with timing. We're gonna just take this. I'm gonna take this one card down. I had to reboot it again because it was artifacting, so it does not like that higher speed memory on the settings in the BIOS. So we're taking this down to original program. Then we'll boot this up, make sure it's stable. I'm gonna put this over here after I rebuild that, or after I put that card back in. And then we'll get that other case over here and then start putting it in the board. The board that we're gonna be using for this is the ASUS Prime. I don't know if this wasn't really pointed at the camera here. Here we go. ASUS Prime Z270-AR. I've seen the A's be used before from some folks out there. I think the only difference is the USB slots configuration. That's all I could tell when looking between the A and the AR. And this one may have the RAID. I'm looking. This has the RAID M2 setup, so it's got two M2 drive connections, which I think is also the R, which means that you can RAID 0 or do it, mirroring on your M2 drives as if somebody's actually going to do that. That's crazy talk.
I think Chris MC wants to know about 470s over 480s. He says he's seen people get 470s to 29 plus with overclocking.
I haven't seen a 470, I don't think, at 29. That's stable. There's a difference between throwing the hammer at a card and maybe for one or two hits getting it at 29. I mean, that's about last night our video on the 290 or the 295 X2. We juiced our way up to where, I mean, it was a little sensational tagline that I put in our video, but we did get 33.8 mega hash out of that card per GPU. That was almost a 70 mega hash card. One card, 70 mega hash almost, right? But what's the sustainability of that? It's a whole other question. More than likely I'd have that card set to probably 31 mega hash per GPU to keep it under the 1600 watt single GPU limit, because if I put 3 of those in there to get the 6 GPUs, I'm going to be bouncing off of 1600 T2's power usage, and I don't really want to split it to a second PSU. So I mean, what's attainable on a card and what's sustainable is a whole different world. But I haven't seen, I think the few 470s that I played with, I think we got solid at 27, and that was running a lot higher memory than normally I would run. You're probably more around 26 and a half, 27. I mean, I just don't see 29 stable. I mean, if there is, I'd like to see it. And
Guntis Vitolins claims he has 470s at 29 plus stable.
That's freaking awesome, man. Post your stats or what kind of cards and stuff on there.
Yeah, post your build.
Because that's pretty cool. That's the most cost-effective way to do it if you can maintain it at that. All right, so that is done. Shut down. I'm gonna put this back in here real quick, turn it on, make sure that it fires up. I'm gonna put this in here. I'm gonna move this here, I think, and just we'll keep it on that because I want this space for the 7 card written.
Dentist says MSI Gaming RX470.
I could see that. MSI's pretty solid on their stuff.
Here's a question: do you check hardware info memory errors while overclocking?
When we're doing the BIOS stuff, yeah, I'll bring it up to see if it's tossing errors to make sure I have a stable BIOS. Since we're not really going crazy for the top speed, most of the time I'm pretty safe with it because, mind you, I mean, like these are only set. These are RX480 8 gigs, and they're only set to 28 mega hash. Just really because they're optimized for the power usage, not so much trying to bang every possible mega hash out of it. So I stay pretty safe in the not screwing around limit on the memory errors. But when we first were setting up what BIOS we were gonna just use across all these, we look at that. And it's probably actually proper. Should probably do that with you guys and show for the people that don't understand that question or don't understand what we're talking about. Maybe that might help people. So this is coming up on here. I don't know if you can see. Bring this over. So this machine is actually displaying over here. And this is the Red Devils. We're using a Pro BTC version 2.0 board on this. I think I got 4 gigs of memory. This has the G20 or 3220 CPU and a 1300 G2 Supernova. It's a gold power supply. It's not the most efficient one we've ever used. Here's all 6 cards. We'll let this spin up. We're using the Claymore on this mining software. Let's plug this.
Chris MC asks if we've tried ASUS Gray 480s.
I have ASUS Gray.
ASUS Gray.
Never heard of him. Where are you at? Where's he at? What location? He's not. Is he the U.S.?
I don't know.
It's spinning up. We'll let this spin up. That's all done. I can take this down now. PC down. While this is spinning up, and we'll see what this thing stabilizes at. Last night on one of our
Chris MC is in UK.
UK, yeah, we probably won't have the access to those. So we were talking about this over here. Different risers, and when somebody says about a SATA riser, this is a SATA riser. So this is ASRock. It has a little daughter card that goes on the motherboard. It plugs its power into, and then 2 SATA cables. So the cool thing about these ones is the length on them are even longer than most of the normal powered risers you get. So if you're having some kind of unique setup on your mining rig, or if you're going to do some kind of custom cool design, you know, where the cards are like elevated, you know, vertically, and you're doing something different with your motherboard and stuff, this gives you kind of some crazy lengths. I mean, you can get an adapter for this thing if you want to extend the power, but you know, you get the SATA cable length, which is a little longer than the standard riser cord, and it takes 2 of the SATA cables. This plugs into the bottom of the GPU, but from ASRock, it's a BTC 16X. We did a test in one of our episodes, I think it was episode 13 or 12, somewhere around there, where we were testing the bandwidth per riser, the powered, non-powered ribbon style, and the powered USB, and then these guys. And these outperformed everybody, besides the 16X full scale big boy. This guy here, which is only going to go in the 16X slot. This boy right here is there was next to no difference, like negligible, like less than a few frames per second when we had a card plugged into a 16X slot versus using this guy. But I mean, mining doesn't matter really that much on bandwidth, but these if you were doing some kind of setup and you wanted to only have a couple cards and you were doing some gaming and stuff, but you wanted to do it off of a mining rig, and instead of a cheap processor you put like an i7 and you wanted to game with it, this riser here was really close to this riser here and providing enough bandwidth. So I mean, it's still I think it goes to a 4X connector versus a 1X connector, and where this is an actual 16X. So this is your ultimate if you're wanting to do some kind of like just 2-card rig and you want it in a mining rig case. That's what you need to get.
Malta Travel has a question about he flashed some of his RX470s with MIOS bods doing the Polaris trick, but his drivers get corrupted and can't install. So he wants to know if there's a fix for that. So is that the problem where you mod the 400 series cards and like the drivers or the AMD?
Yeah, you need so you need a there is a mod that you can do that will allow it to work, but it's the driver signing issue. So there's I believe that we had a link on our last video at the top. It has what to download, but it's a driver signing tool that'll sign the driver. You could also put Windows into test mode, do the driver signing tool, but there's a few tutorials out there. We'll make sure we get it linked on the bottom of the video on how to fix that. So even so that wasn't that GPU.
My Dream PC UK wants to know if we're going to sell those Red Devils.
These Red Devil rig?
Yeah.
This will probably get posted. So we're switching to all that case on the 2 episodes ago live stream. I'm switching to the server style cases just from a simplicity standpoint and how we're going to store our rigs. So I mean, I like to run these for at least a week to make sure that they're stable before I sell anything. So I don't want you to have problems or anybody that purchases a rig from us. I want to make sure the BIOS setting's right, that it's stable, that you're not having to reset it every night, any of that kind of stuff. So if we do, you'd see this go up probably next week sometime if we were to sell this one. I still need to go through a few quirks with it because I got one that's still showing down. This is the one that I changed the BIOS on and then just dropped it back to stock. So it's only showing 24.14. I'm going to put that one back up, but we'll do some separate stuff to make sure I dial this in to make sure that they're all stable at 28. So I'm going to find the culprit here. I'm going to get it fixed or returned. and then make sure I have a full stable 28.5 mega hash rig, and then yeah, that's when it would get posted. So yeah, we're at just under 1,000 watts right now with this setup.
That card is still good.
Yeah, so it's not the one that I pulled. This one is just cool because it's on the end, and it's not capturing all the heat. So I'll go through that separately. I want to get this other build done.
Michael Llanos wants to know if there's a place, or if you have a place where they can buy those cases. I think he's talking about those cases.
Which case? These ones are the gray matter. The gray matter is actually on the link on episode our live stream episode 6, posted right now under our channel. At the top of the description, you'll see gray matter case. That's the link to that case.
And then these cases are just made from stuff that's bought from like Lowe's or Home Depot.
Yeah, our episode 2 and 3, I believe, we show people how to build this case, and then we just spray them. So we take them out and do a like a paint spray job on them, just to get them cool and red. And I like having some color to them. This is definitely one of those not needed, and the case that we're about to use is pre-sprayed, so you'll get to see the vanilla look to them for if you're just joining us. So I'm going to pull this off to the side right now. We will troubleshoot that last card, but it looks like we have 5 of these really stable at the 28 mega hash. We'll let it run overnight. I'll fix this other one. I think it's just it doesn't like the 2080 hard code on the memory timing. We'll back that down to like 2050 and see, and we'll stair step it. That's how we're going to fix that card. If it doesn't hold anything over stock, then it goes back. I'll return it and put it back as it's one that's just not it's just not compatible for what we're wanting to do. It'll probably be great for gaming. It'll work fine for gaming for somebody. Because it's not necessary, we're not messing with the core clocks, we're messing with the memory. So I'm going to put this over to the side. I do like these cases because they're super rigid and strong. But we will get that card fixed, and that will be a strong 28 mega hash per card system. That's in the 170 range. Is that about right? So here is the kind of the more vanilla case. This is a little different design. We like playing around with the designs a little bit. This one was to try to get rid of that mid bar that sits here where the cards sit on, and we went to more of we just created kind of a slot here, so when the card sits in it and you bolt it down, you kind of slide it in there and you screw that down, and the card just sits there and kind of free floats. From a shipping kind of case, if I was building one to ship it to somebody, I'd still put that kind of anchor bar here because I don't like this is just holding the tension. And this card isn't real heavy. This is about the extent of the heaviest card I'd probably put in something like that. Normally when you're using something like a 370 or a Force, like we had this is an ASUS 370. I had a 370 rig that we pulled. Something like that's real easy because that card doesn't weigh anything, and that's a good build. And then that way you don't have that thing kind of in the middle here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm sitting here talking and not paying attention to the thing. I'm going to see that kind of. I'm going to zoom down on that.
Where's the zoom?
There it is. So you can see the slot here cut.
Oh, the slot's being covered.
And
there you go. There's the slot.
And you see the slot there. And then just those pins, those little spots there kind of go there. And then when you put your screw onto this, it just anchors it from here and up here. lets the card just kind of hang there. And once it's tightened down, this thing is fine. I mean, I wouldn't put a ton of pressure this way, but I mean, because you're really just resting on the fact of this facing. So as long as you don't have something like a Devil 13 where the cards is like a gargantuan and it's a lot of weight to it, you should be pretty good. Again, this is about the extent of the heavy card that I put in here. And this might actually get these are going to get put in here for just this kind of demo of some cards, and then these will get pulled and we'll get this sprayed. Probably some other kind of color. I don't know, we'll look at, these are RGB cards. They glow naturally red, so it might go to another red case, but this rig here is the pre-sprayed one. So I'll do ASUS board. And this is a little different because normally we only do the BTC boards. So I don't see the, yeah, there we go. I'm sure it's not too, let me get the lighting over here. Pointed this way, yeah, there we go. So we can kind of see the board kind of structure here. So you're looking at 7 slots here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. Woohoo, I can count. So these are all active. The 170 series, so if the Z170 has 6 slots with a PCI slot here, that only lets 3 of these ports active. You'll end up having IRQ issues. There's not enough system resources on the board. On the 1 series, the 2 series are fine. So this is an 1151 chipset, not an 1150, so that's key to know, especially if you're trying to use older hardware as a replacement. It requires DDR4 memory, not DDR3. And we are gotta get, you know what I did not get from last night? We might be just setting that board in there. Because,
oh, spacers and screws.
no, if this screw pack doesn't, these might be too thick. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. We were at the end of our screws. Oh, I got some in here. Good. We put so many of these together. If I did a live stream for how many builds that myself and this team has done, there would at least be 3 digits in there of zeros.
We have not tried 8 GPUs on this board. This is the first time we're trying 7, right?
On this board, yeah. I mean, so
could we? Is it possible to do 8?
well, there's people that keep talking about those splitters, but that's a bad idea. I have not seen. Let's put it this way: if this is a hunt, somebody find a link and post. I don't know if you can post links to that unless it's super chat. Post part of the URL to a video that shows somebody using one of those splitters, because I haven't seen one successfully. I see people talk about it, and actually, Prang bought one. I just haven't. We haven't tested it, so I guess it's almost in due order. Well, I think we'll just use 4 for right now for these.
Other people have mentioned the BioStar boards to us.
Yeah, I can't find them for sale. I see that they're out there, but I haven't seen any of them for sale. So the second I can find one, I am going to buy one and we'll do a video on it.
Like, are they even available in the US, or are they just international boards? So, I mean, if they're available in the US, tell us where to get one.
I mean, if somebody has an extra one and they want to send it to us, I will buy it from you. I mean, I'm not looking for a free handout or anything on anything. But if you have one, I would like to work arrangements to buy it from you. I'll give you props on the forum, or I'll get on the live stream and say, hey, this person was awesome and they hooked us up. You know, we bought it from them. I don't want you out. I don't want you out on any costs. We'll take care of you. You know, this isn't. You know, I don't mind. And don't take it like, you know, I'm just turning down anything and everything. I mean, it's just we don't. We kind of operate within budget to where we're not going too much over to where I'm needing to solicit additional support. And you know, we're not trying to make the channel something that it's not either. You know, this is a very unique genre where there's not going to be a ton. I mean, like, this YouTube channel is not going to pull in, you know, a million subscriber base. It's just, it's a techie thing, right? I mean, if we expanded our content to where I started maybe talking about, you know, speculative pricing more regularly and got into like the news, or kind of did some other stuff, but I've tried to stay away from really kind of doing that, because really, by and large, this is the kind of stuff that we like doing as a group. We like the hardware side of it. We like the you know, testing out. It's like kind of like, you know, that trial and error. You know, hey, can we get it to do? Can we get this stuff to, you know, run at a certain rate? You know, what's the limitations on things? You know, that kind of stuff is really, it kind of drives us. I'm just going to go 4 on this for right now. And we'll modify this because this is going to come off. I don't need to get too crazy on mounting this thing down, because this is really just to validate the 7. We'll let it run for a bit, and then I'm going to pull that off, and we're going to get this properly sprayed, make it look cool. Part of this is style too. I like the style of the stuff. And I think that was part of the problem with some of the old videos, you know. I mean, not to take a shot on some of our old content, but it took a while. I mean, we would probably do a lot of post-processing and put some cool graphics together for you guys. But I think at the end of the day, you guys just want to see this stuff get built and see how it works. I'm missing a processor. Where's that i3 in that box? So we're putting, there were no more, I mean, I'm telling you, maybe these videos are, and all the different folks doing the videos on this genre is hot right now, but we were stuck and we had to buy an i3. There were no Intel basic processors, so I'm putting a i3 6100 in this. So who knows, this machine might do some CPU stuff. Not that the i3 is going to be that much faster. I was really close to just saying forget it and just putting a 7700 in this, and just, we still might do that. And then we'll just use this as some CPU mining. Also, we'll keep it at i3. I'm not going to put that on yet because we're going to paint it. Stock CPU cooler. Yeah, you guys can keep the questions coming. If you have any more questions, share the build. You know what you guys could do too is you do a favor for us. You could drop a note on the ETH forums or something, say we're live streaming and you're welcome to come in. You know, maybe some people can offer some other perspectives. while we're live streaming. I'm gonna get the memory. I bought a kit for this instead of one. So it's a little overkill, but this would be a good machine. Normally you just put one stick in there. I don't have a lot of machines that have DDR4. Most of the stuff we're still doing, which is the 1150 chipset, which is DDR3. So this machine's got the hookup. 16 gigs of RAM. Absolutely not needed. Then we are going to do, we're going to put the AX in here. When I get that one out.
Yeah.
So we're going to put an AXI 1200 watt power supply in this.
Probably something here. Powered ones.
Yeah, we're gonna get powered ones. You got 6 of them?
I have 6 powered ones.
Okay. We'll pull. I have one more powered. We'll shut that one down. I'll pull the other. I ordered another like 100 pack of risers, or 120. Almost out of risers again. So AX 1200 I from Corsair. I'm always a big fan of Platinum power supplies. We don't have a lot of like Inwin or Seasonic or any of these other brands that you see people using. It really comes down to geographical area, what's available. And we have a very high availability of Corsair and EVGA. It's just, in our area, that's just what's there. I have nothing against any of the other Inwin or other, PSUs. Power risers. Again, have, okay, you're just gonna set those there. I'm gonna grab one more thing. I'm gonna check your guys' questions here. So one of the questions, why not EVGA? We do use EVGA. That Red Devil was a 1300 G2 EVGA. And the one from last night's video was the 1600 T2, which is the titanium power supply, which is EVGA. So yeah, we still use EVGA. There's a lot of EVGA down here. Actually, I think almost every rig down here, besides this one and one of the 390 rigs, is all EVGA. I've heard good things about Seasonic. I have not used any of them. Actually, when Micro Center started putting a few Seasonics on their shelves, but the highest they go to is like 860 platinum, and I mean, that's just such a unfortunate power amount when it comes to 6-card rigs. Because unless you're gonna get maybe the 470s, I think you can get down to maybe 850 watts on a 6-card rig. You guys can post what you get, but they you're bouncing right at the limiter of where you'd want to run a power supply at. You know, if it's rated at 860 and you're pretty much running 850 on it, I mean, you could do that. I've done that for sure. It's just the life longevity of it. It's probably not going to hold up like you want it to. And if we get close to this power supply's ability, meaning if we get to where even after modifying it, it's really close to 1200, we'll probably end up when I go to pull this off to do the spray, I'll move this to this rig to the 1300 G2 just to give it the headroom, and I'll put this AX 1200i on the Red Devils because it's only got 6 cards. That way I have the headroom. Not really. We'll be running into it then. So I'm putting all the PCIEs on this side. We do not need the second CPU power. We do not need that 6-pin there. Not need that one either. Depending on those risers, do they have Molex? They got the SATA Molex collect. Okay.
Whatever its official name is.
Yeah, it's just 4-pin Molex. That's all we use. And after Jason's done doing that unboxing of the risers, we'll go back over and check your guys' questions. So we will take care of you guys there. We are going to use all the SATA here connectors, mainly because I do not put, if you have 4 of these SATA connectors, do not plug 4 of your riser cards across them. Do 3. We have a couple examples out there, and we showed in our live stream 6 that we burned up one of these ends because you had all the power for the PCIe slot being supplied by 4 of these. It really overloads this end connector because you're talking up to 50 to 60 watts per connector here, because you're taking the overhead off the actual slot, and the cards actually, the riser's picking it up. So if you have enough extras, just do 3 at a time. Don't do 4. And just for safety tip. So we're going to plug all 3 of these in, which will give us 12 SATA. We'll be using 7 of them for the risers, and then 1 for the SSD drive. So that, and we'll split it across the 3 strands of 4 that they have. So there's all the risers. We're good there. We'll take a look at their questions. You know what's hilarious?
They were busy.
Is that power supply we got does not have the big pin.
It doesn't have the motherboard? What jerks?
Doesn't have motherboard. That's hilarious.
I know. I've had something like this happen too.
I have 2 extra EVGA ones, but I do not have a Corsair one.
We might have to pull that 1300 out.
Well, no, what we'll do...
Or the 1600.
No, we'll just shut the AX 860 down. I'll power that rig off for right now. We'll pull that one, because it's the same.
That one should already be powered down.
Yeah. We'll pull that one, and we'll do that, and then we'll send a note over to the Micro Center guys.
Okay, Trevor Grant asks, or he says, my cards are ASUS Dual 480 8 gig. Individually, I can get 30 mega hash post BIOS mod. When they are all running together, he can only get 25 mega hash stable. He's stumped.
Is so his which cards does he have?
He says ASUS Dual 480 8 gigs. ASUS Dual
488 gigs. Has he done the BIOS mod on?
Yeah, he said with the BIOS mod he can get 30 mega hash individually, but when they're all running together he can only get 25 stable.
So this 860 will not work on this. It's a different printout, even though it's an AX series. So the sub 6-pin piece works. The 4-pin is not big enough. Well, damn it. That's the only part. I mean, this is the first one I've had out of every power supply I bought from them that I've had this issue. So we'll pull the 1600. Let's pull the 1600. That 1600. We'll just pull that over. You have to pull the screws off the.
Yeah.
So Micro Center will be seeing this video. There's all my cohorts over there that I know they're working. They'll be face palming, like, oh my God, we just totally sold a YouTuber a return with no made cord. So for the folks not hearing what's going on, we got this. This was a return. So they kind of do like a test out of it, validate that it works. And sometimes when you get these returns, you'll miss 1 or 2 of these like SATA cords or something, or maybe one of the PCIe somebody didn't return. But for some reason, the person left the motherboard cable out. So it's gone. It wasn't part of it. So that's like the biggest fail that can happen if you're buying these, sort of thing not working. So that's what that is. That is a retail $334 power supply. We got it from Micro Center for $169, which is a pretty good, decent price. So, person asking about EVGA, we're going to go to our trusty EVGA 1600 T2. So, this is probably one of the most expensive power supplies on the friggin' planet you can buy, but it's super trusty and does everything I need it to do. Get it from the board. While he's doing that,
Got it.
I'm gonna start getting these together.
Motherboard.
all my boxes of these screws got mixed up.
And CPU.
Part of the reason why I have to keep going through all these screws is, as a joke, one of my kids opened up all my screw packs and mixed them. So they were like, "Ha ha, have fun fishing," and I just have not took the time to go through and clean them all or separate them all. So I had all these nicely organized. And now I get to dig through them. 6, 7. I'm just going to stage these. I got to cut into this a little bit to get enough of these labeled. That's the way that works. Just hangs there down here, supported from the front.
Okay, with a 6 GPU rig, how much Zcash is possible? That entirely depends on the cards that you're using.
Yeah, it depends on the cards. I would say look at the calculators right now, because I mean, since we're not mining Zcash, I don't know off the top of my head. We will find out when we pull over the Zcash rig. Let's see what we're getting out of at least two of the
Jorge Rodriguez asks, have you used dual PC or PSU setup, 600 regular PSU with a server PSU running the GPU?
Not the server. I've seen some of the HP server setups that people are getting into. One of our other BPT folks has one that we were going to look at. He got a 1200 watt. I think it was 1200 or 1300. No, it was actually 2000 watt. It was a 2000 watt, or it's claimed to be 2000 watt, platinum level HP, like slide in one with a converter, which allows all the cables to come off of it. And we were going to look at doing a build with that. We've done tons of dual build setups. If you look at all of our older videos, we've done most of the old 290 cards and the 390s and stuff use so much juice you needed to split them between two PSUs. Most of all this newer RX stuff, you don't need two PSUs. Unless you get like a deal on two 650s or something like that. That might be a little cheaper deal for you. What am I looking for?
Keeg's Tech Cuts posts. He lives a couple hours away from you. He'd like to meet up. Maybe show you the data center that he has.
Hey, I'm always welcome, man, to meet fellow enthusiasts. Tomorrow I actually fly out of town for a week. I have taken a lot of extra video of a lot of the stuff we've been doing just to be ready for being able to do some editing and do some proper just regular videos for you guys and post them like pre-post episodes for some of the other builds I've done. And then I'm back in town next week on Friday, and I'm right back out of town for a week. It's kind of a busy time right now. But after that, in early June, I think we could probably do something.
Joshua Moran asks, when we used the 390X2s before, were they really loud? I'm going to guess he's talking about the Devil 13s.
390X2s are the Devil 13s, yes, and they were moderately loud. They weren't as loud as like I think some of the loudest cards are like the reference cards, like the first 390EXs that came out, and that kind of like contained single fan design. Those things sound like air dryers.
Chris MC asks, anyone 470/480 significantly better than the others? I don't think there's any that are significantly better than the others.
No, they're all really close to the same. They're all really close to the same, man. Whatever one you pick. I usually go with the best solution is going with the one that has a lot of research already done on it, a lot of people support. I would say your best bet is probably like an MSI Twin Frozer, your ASUS series. There's a lot of those. And there's a lot of BIOS support that people already have, like modded BIOSes that work out real well. For cost factoring, I'd go probably 470s, 570s.
Malta Travel asks, do you guys not trade crypto? So do we trade crypto?
Yeah. I mean, I go on Polynex a lot and do a little flipping here and there. It's not like a daily task though or anything like that. I go kind of long on stuff. And my choices are ones that I believe in from a feature set. In my normal day job type of stuff, I do a lot of stuff with coding and development and leading development, large development. And so I look at the attributions of the actual software side of the crypto and things that have good feature sets, the stuff that I can see people would have functional use for, then those are the cryptocurrencies that we're vested in. That's why a lot of Ethereum, a lot of the sub coins off of Ethereum, Augur, Gnome, our Golem. I keep saying Gnome. Somebody's gonna build a Gnome coin. I can't wait. Those kind of currencies are the ones that are heavily traded, like Zcash. I like the functional use of them from a software side.
Do you recommend to use only 80 plus platinum level and up, or gold levels are good too?
I think golds are fine. I always like going with the higher quality power supply. Just the components that are in them seem to be a lot better. And just I haven't had a lot of issues with platinum power supplies as much as I had golds. I would never use silver. I think in our older videos, I used to use an HX1050 silver power supply, and it finally gave out. It used to have a lot of coil whine. But what am I missing here? I got all the SATAs. Let's do a check here.
Not hooking up the risers.
Yeah, we need to do that. I need another SATA. That's what I need. Is there another one on the ground there that I didn't pick up?
No.
Okay, so we don't need this. This can stay over here. I need one more SATA.
Malta Travel wants to know what your opinion on Ripple is.
So I don't really like things that I can't really mine, and so here's the deal with Ripple. Ripple is going to do, I think, is going to do fine, and it's going to continue to do fine for for a lot of time to come, just because of its infrastructure, its support, and the investments that are made in it. And its design is purely predicated on to move money in an international banking way. I think banks will like it. I think you're seeing that adoption now. That's why the price is moving. It's just, from a supply demand side, it seems very oversold. But I think just natural, the right words are being talked about in their use cases and functionality that I think is going to attract additional support with it. We have a little bit, like I went in January, or was that February? We were discussing it. We were discussing it a few months ago.
I think it was February.
When we just kind of did an analysis across all the cryptos and saw everything lifting, and the only one that wasn't lifting was Ripple. So from just like an economic standpoint for me, I was like, nah, I'm going to invest in this. Everything else is doing good, and Ripple actually at least has a front office. It has people that work for it. I'm like, its use cases make sense for international banking. It's got a lot of effort on it. So not from the traditional currency crypto side, while it has maybe its thing, it's kind of like MediaCoin, or I think it's MediaCoin, the one that just got purchased, where they take out the consensus because they don't need it, but they can still call it a blockchain. It's got a use case and a functionality, and people are investing in it, even though it's got kind of the core point of like proof of work, proof of stake kind of algorithm based consensus ledger systems. It doesn't have. I think Ripple is kind of one of those things where it's just going to be used, and people are going to use it as an investment vessel. So, I mean, I would think you're pretty safe right now in the pricing that it is. We invested in it as a hedge, but you got to spread that wealth on. Don't put all your eggs in one basket for sure. Normally I measure these out, but we're just gonna. This is a test case. I'm gonna put since I didn't have this pre-drilled for 7. And let's pull the riser off of
Which riser?
the only powered one, the USB powered one that's there. I'm gonna go ahead and just get these plugged in. You guys will see a 7 GPU build. This is actually our first for the video. We're putting a 7 card rig together. I really would like to get a big bang board and do a proper 8 card setup. How many viewers are we up to?
29.
I think that was about it. I think we had 36 last night at our peak. It's pretty cool. A whole bunch of other enthusiasts. I like it. I think we'll just have enough room on this case for 7.
I think you're packing them pretty tightly.
I am, because I want to make sure I have enough room.
I mean, you're fitting 4 of them in less than half the case.
Yeah. Part of that's because I already had some pre-drilled screws. And yeah, I have 3 holes here. I have these 3 here. And this is where all most of the heat is from the case anyways. Where this doesn't have pull the heat from the board. So these last 3 I'm going to do right here a little more spread out. And then I can readjust. There's a screw hole here. I can readjust these after. The main thing was just getting them kind of set. I have one riser that's a little different. It's the same. It's a USB one like this, but it's a different color. That's the one I'm going to use for the main video cable. One. Here. It's 4. I'm excited to see the results of this one. You know, if this one's nice and Rockstar stable, we'll probably move this one too. You'll see it out there on our... We do a lot of stuff on eBay. We do a lot of stuff local for people. Most of the time we build this and then like people will send me private messages and we work it out. But I don't mind working through like an eBay type of place too for people. Like I said, we go through, we enjoy doing this and putting these together and playing with all the cool hardware. So I do a lot of the flipping of them. And we don't make a lot on these. I mean, most of these times, if you look at any of our previous auctions, I mean, I'm selling these things for usually cost. I mean, they're not crazily overpriced or anything. I mean, a rig like this would be like just under probably $3,000. I mean, that's a 7-card rig. That ain't bad. It really comes predicated on which power supply we're using, and if it's like we'll get the AX working for this, and you know, so if I'm paying $169 for that power supply, I'm not charging somebody that's buying a rig, you know, the $334 cost on that. So it's I'm just forwarding that $169 deal I got on it to the person buying it.
Here's a question that you should have no problem answering.
Mm-hmm.
If you were buying cards today for a 6-card rig, what gives you the most bang for the buck? So many cards to choose from.
From which one?
So many cards to choose from. Which one gives you the most bang for the buck?
Well, it's right now the 570 or... Oh, the most bang for the buck for today was these Red Devil 13s.
Yes.
At Micro Center are $219, the 8 gig version.
Yeah, you just bought those this afternoon.
I just bought them this afternoon, so that's a pretty good deal if you want a brand new card, and you want 6 of them. $219 US dollars is pretty damn good for that card. So for a brand new card. And you saw that they were locked in at 28. I do have one that's being a little finicky that we will get fixed. You say they had 10 more of them out there?
That's what their site said. I'll check on here.
Yeah. Might have to go on another run.
Not before I do.
Well, no, I'm saying if you wanted to get one for your rigs, I mean,
yeah.
I don't care about going back out. Micro Center's about a 20-minute drive for us, so 25-minute drive. I'm missing, no, I'm not. So I'm going to use the blue one for this one. So normally I do this, I plug the SATAs in before, just because it's a pain in the butt to get underneath each one, but whatever. And here is the 7th card.
Yeah, their site says they've got 10 more Red Devils and stuff. Could be
they had a truck there.
Non-synchronized. Yeah, okay. So.
Because he was asking me to stay because they had another truck.
please buy more.
Well, those guys they get commission, so you know you gotta take care of them.
Oh, they close in an hour and a half.
They're open tomorrow.
They are.
Just go there in the morning.
11. I'll do it.
I'd go, but tomorrow's my packing day since I gotta go out of town. Make sure I have all the stuff packed up because I'm taking the camera, and I do plan on making a visit out at their micro center out there since I'll be out there for a week. See what they got out in DC. Wanted to do that on the last one. So okay, so that's all the
Wireless Net 2 says he just got a batch of reference 8 gig 480s for $125 a piece. That's pretty good.
yeah, that's
Regardless of whether or not they're reference cards.
reference 4 gig, is that what you said?
8 gig. Reference 8
Oh
gigs.
wow, that's a good deal.
100 or $125.
That is good.
And R9 Nanos for $200 a piece. Are the RX500 series better than the RX400 performance per watt?
No. Outright no. Through our testing so far, no. They're actually a little more wattage, but they seem so far to be a little more less finicky and stable. I look at the RX580 as reference 2.0 of the 480. They try to beef up certain things. The temps seem to be a little more, even though they're using a little more wattage, they seem to be a little more in check when you undervolt them. So right now I'm just plugging in all the PCIe into all 7 of the slots. Now this is going to be a test because I have not tested this with EthOS, so this might be a Windows build if we can't get EthOS to play nice with
7 cards.
7 cards, yes. You know, I forgot to plug in the damn power adapter. Here, I need a different.
They're reminding you not to forget about the AM4 BioStar X370 motherboards.
Hey, did anybody offer to sell me one? Anybody got one?
I found someone on Newegg.
You found some in Newegg?
Yeah.
Are they available right now?
Yeah. Here's a BioStar X370 GT7 for $179.
Oh, that's not the BTC. It has to be the BTC. What am I looking for? Oh. All my little power.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a time lapse of cleaning this place one day.
The BTC one.
It's
is
gonna
out of
be.
stock.
It's going to be very, very fulfilling to me to do it and clean everything, make sure everything's reorganized again down here. And then it'll be that kind of weird, you know, video that everybody enjoys seeing something get totally cleaned up. Because if you're an attention, the detail types of person, this setup down here is probably driving you batty. Power switch. Power switch, check. Now, spin this around, all the SATA cables. 3, 4. Make sure I'm using the right amount. From here. One. 2. 3 for that one. Pull this back out a little bit. Get to, that's why I don't mount that right away. Where I can still get to the back side of this. Again, I'm only plugging in 3 of the SATA, even if the strand has 4. This one. And I'm going to still this because I have to still build the other hard drive. Cable. Again, all the BIOS is already mounted on these, and they were posted on our last night's video. So it's at the top of the description and the live stream from yesterday. I'm not worrying too much about the cable management right now, just because these are going to come back out after we confirm everything's good, before we can get this case sprayed. Unlike everybody trying to build that first time and be done with it, we just do a lot of the, you're getting to see us do this build before we've even tested this board. So I wanted to kind of let you see if we run into any issues, how we go about fixing it, and that kind of thing, versus giving you kind of a post analysis and just talking about maybe what we did. You guys can see it cradle to grave, as we call it in development. Any other developers out there? This one is not. There we go. There's still four other connectors that we could plug into this power supply for PCIe. That is just nuts. I think 4. Let me see.
Yeah. That is nuts.
3. So,
I was gonna say you're
You
missing
guys-
one of your fires.
huh?
This one's not plugged in.
Okay. So we're gonna have 2 at the end of this. Maybe one more PCIe slot. Is there one down there, or is it?
There is not.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because we only have 6 card loop gas.
Yeah.
Right. I put the other one up here. So this beast of a power supply, even with 7 cards, and we're not using any of the secondary dongles, right? You know, the split PCIe, we're using just the one from it, the 1 8-pin. And this power supply still has 2 extra. This thing is a beast. So this was like made for like, this thing was great for the 390s because you'd have this and then you have this, you know, on the way the 390s work, because you had the 6-pin and the 8-pin. If for some reason you have to go with dual 8-pins, we have these little adapters that plug into this and convert that to another 8-pin. If you had a lot of cards. But yeah, this titanium, that's part of the reason why you pay the money on these bigger ones like this, is it gets you around all that, the issues with having to split 2 different power supplies. Now, I'm going to tell you, by and large, it's going to be cheaper to go 2 power supplies than buy this big freaking thing. And just do a 2 power supply rig.
Michael Llanos wants to know, asks, can you not boot from USB and save power usage there? Yes.
I mean, you're going to save maybe a couple watts in the solid state. I mean, solid state's not that much juice.
Yeah.
Maybe 5. I mean, I don't think we've ever really measured the power. I mean, that's really getting... I mean, if you start doing microeconomics on it, on trying to find absolute savings because you're paying 20 cents per kilowatt, I mean, I get it. It's going to be so negligible.
Something like that would be like a more like cost thing when you're buying it at the store. Do I want to buy a $50 solid state or $8 USB drive?
Yep. I think this thing's all done.
Plug it in.
So we need to do that fancy schmancy flip around with this. So we're going to put... You cannot plug this power supply directly into a kilowatt because it just does not fit. The cable is too dense and too big and the output's too big. So we have to plug the kilowatt into another power strip and kind of daisy chain. We're just going to daisy chain just the PC.
So here's this.
Yeah, and then that'll plug into the bottom of that. So we are going to get that juiced. Make sure none of these have anything in their way. Oh, I'm going to re-plug that one in, because it was on the outside of the case. It's kind of annoying.
The board's already lit up.
Well, yeah, it's got the pre-feed from the power supply, pre-charging the capacitors. Part of that's that whole
Fancy schmancy.
there's a gimmick thing. I don't know, maybe there's some science behind it, but one of those things when they pre-light the motherboards and kind of light up the coolness and all that kind of stuff, they call that kind of condensation prevention or whatever too.
0.8 watts.
Yeah. The LED strip's 0.8 watts.
Yeah. 0.7, somewhere around there. Yeah.
So they figure if they're running energy through it, it just keeps it from having some kind of... God, that thing is a beast. I'm just trying to kick this sideways for a second.
Uh-oh.
Tearing on the table. Now we're going to plug... this power or this into here. That's why I have the blue cable defining which monitor. We already plugged it. Yeah, we plugged these in. I think, did we? Yes. It's in.
Fury Instinct asks, what GPU do you recommend to start mining on, the 480 or the 470?
470. Unless you can get the 480s for stupid cheap, like somebody just said that they got
480 reference cards
480
for
reference
25.
For 125, yes. That's that. What is going on here? We got this routed and then rerouted around this monitor. This is all twisted to shit. We've switched this onto so many different PCs so often that the entire thing was a knot. This stuff is very. There we go, now it's untwisted. It's like twisted around it 3 times. Right there, we got network. Should be right here. We have the switch over here, so we could have a couple on this test bed. The mouse. Keyboard's dead now.
You lost at least one key.
Did I? Epic.
Looks like it's your right alt.
Right alt.
I know.
Do I care about
like
the
you're ever gonna use that key.
Do I care about the right alt? Right alt's back.
Cared enough to put it back in.
You know, I'm one of those ones that would be anal enough to just drive me nuts. Okay, so this is good. Everything's lit, all lit up. That's the first good sign. No smoke, no fire. Second good sign. Yet. Fourth good sign would be it posting. Typical ASUS. Probably taking its sweet time to post. It's probably gonna bitch about having a new processor.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So typically on ASUS, you saw the time that took, and I don't know, we haven't yet. They could. So in the first boot up on them, they go through a very long post cycle. So don't freak out if it doesn't fire up like that. Have patience. I always give every new PC at least 60 seconds to start. Like on the new Ryzen boards, I think the Z370 series, it takes forever for that thing to boot up. It's like 55 seconds or something crazy as it's going through its long post. So it actually gives you an indicator on the board cycling through all of its post numerical codes. But like I figured on this one, it would take a cool second for it to come up. And yes, it's like typical ASUS. I called that, saying, hey, you got a new processor. Look at that pretty BIOS. So, well, I thought I had 16 gigs. This is only 8 gigs. That's fine. 3.7, don't care about that. We're going to leave the rest of this as it is. I'm not going to mess with any of these settings yet. Once I go for like final stabilization for a system, I'll turn off some of the advanced stuff like the serial ports and other things that use electricity when I finally tune things down. Make sure that he sees all 7 of these, and kind of got this the wrong way for they can't see the coolness of how this thing breathing. Can't see those cards, can you? I guess you can see them breathing the other side. There's a whole light bar on the side of this card that's cool. We'll let it get it going and stuff, and then maybe we'll flip it around and we'll bring the camera over and we'll pan over it once it starts running and going again. Here's that long BIOS startup, Jesus.
Do you know if there's any real difference between the ASUS Prime Z270AR and the Z270A?
I think it's just the USB ports that are on it that I could tell. God, look how long that boot up is. That's why I might have to fix that. I think we can go into like fast boot mode or something. It doesn't do that long post.
Yeah, but still, that's a long boot.
It doesn't have a code on it, does it? On the other spots.
I don't see anywhere where it'd be posting a code. Maybe the shiny colors on the bottom is code.
Yeah. What's the RGB?
Yeah. What's the
rotation?
RGB code?
We'll give it a.
Something happened. Oh.
Well, I just killed it because we told it to restart, and sometimes on a soft post versus a.
Soft flicker.
Yeah, I'll have to get in there and adjust that. Make sure it's choosing the right GPU too. Should be taking the main one right here. What's our people up to?
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's just a signal thing on this because of that long cable. It's not getting enough input. We can't do the.
Can't do HDMI.
And we can. I guess we can.
We could try.
Try it. We were getting out of range last time on that. Correct. Here, I'll try this. I'll try this DVI with that and just see if it's this TV in the startup. And then I'll just reset the BIOS and we'll go back in there real quick and see if it's just having an issue with
It's gonna be on the other one.
yeah.
WirelessNet2 says he's surprised that it posted the first time.
No, it'll work. Once we confirm those settings and changes, yeah, it's posted on this fine. I'll go in there and I'll make sure that it's it's launching EthOS. So what we'll do is we'll flip this around right now. So part of the reason is this is the thickness of this cable, and this is like a 30-foot or 40-foot HDMI extension that I have for this, and when we're converting it, sometimes I'll get like low latency feeds. I just think it's finicky because the piece there. It's coming up on here.
There might have been an error.
Yeah, that might be an EthOS thing, not being able to handle this board. Not syncing.
It looks like the kernel killed itself.
The kernel killed itself. Yeah, this is the first test of the EthOS. I mean, we might be just dropping. I'm gonna try it one more time on it, and if it doesn't, then we'll just load Windows on it real quick.
AMD GPU and it failed. I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That might be just EthOS's inability to handle this motherboard.
Or the sheer number of cards on Linux.
No, it's only detecting 6 anyways. Let's kill it. And we will load Windows quickly. Here. Kill the power in this. USB for Windows and solid state. We'll replace the existing solid state that are in there now.
Trevor Grant asks, how many rigs do you run from a single socket? Are extension leads okay?
One.
One rig per socket. Actually, one rig per.
It's one rig per. So if you have 15 amp, for sure, one rig per. If the rigs are only using.
One rig per breaker, probably.
Yeah. So on a 20 amp fuse, you only should be running one rig. Just because if you put 2 on there, you're going to exceed the specifications of it. It's good for the sockets are good for about 1850 to 2000, but I mean you're going to heat them up. One rig per. This is going to be interesting. So let's try this real quick. Let's see if we can cheat this now that Windows is initialized. Might have been just having the kernel issue with, because that way I can not have to keep going around, because I want to show them the screen, but mode not supported.
Old TV.
Fail sauce. Once we get into Windows, we can set the resolution and stuff and get that fixed. All right, so I'll just do it this way. Kind of look over. It's upside down, so it's opposite. Next. That's interesting doing that backwards. Everything's opposite. So that's a bypass.
I don't have a product key.
Yeah, I'm going to say that now. Windows 10 Pro next. Remove all the partitions on this, make this a fresh install. Now, this is a 240 gig solid state. Just an extra one I had. Next. This should go pretty quick. Now I'm kind of glad I got an i3 6100 6th gen. Speed up the process a little bit. I don't know what the performance difference. I haven't really looked into what the performance difference between
For installing Windows.
the install between like a. I think it still only uses one core. I highly doubt their install process is multi-core. So it's all going to come down to the speed of the processor.
It's more like, God, I'm glad I don't use spindle drives.
One of our fellow BBTer must be watching. Volts times amps equals watts. Thanks for the elementary education. There he is. T Prang, the fellow BBTer, tuning in. We built this 7 GPU rig. Yeah, 2200 on 20 amps, so is pushing it. We've ran 1880 on a 6 times 290 Tri-X rig in like 2014, and it was fine on 20 amps, but man, it was hot. It heated up that socket. So then we split that out because we were running that on a I think I was running on a 1600 T2. We were running 1880 through it just to see if it could do it, and it did. It held it fine. But I ended up splitting it, I think, to a 1200 and a 1000 watt. And I think that was like episode maybe.
I remember your
20.
lines were actually like physically getting hot.
Yeah,
because
we had
of all the current moving through them.
we had a lot going through that. Yeah, NVMe drives are very quick, especially the 960 series. Hey, Prang, I don't know if you saw that, but we got one of those AX 1200s from Micro Center, and it was missing a damn one of the main motherboard power cable. So hopefully those Micro Center guys are watching.
Try running Windows XP on 1800X.
Who knows? I don't think it'll end well.
People still use XP? I guess I would expect more people to use XP than Windows 8.
%59.
I think Prang says he has an extra main motherboard power cable.
I have one, so that one should be mine. Hey, if you do, you can just pick it up from me then. I'll save it for you. It'll be here. You can pick it up next week.
Now, is it the right motherboard power cable?
Just bring it down. It's yours. guess we can do a proper unboxing while we're waiting. So what's this motherboard else come with? SATA cables, pretty traditional. These things are like foreign to us because we don't ever put these motherboards in cases. Republican Gaming SLI bridge that will probably never get used. I have no idea. Oh, it's for the NVMe drives, the NVMe, right?
Yeah.
Drive. The naming. And motherboard box.
NVMe.
So we had some anchor screws to hold that in.
M2s.
The M2 drives, yes. This board supports 2 of them. Oh, somebody was asking what the difference on the AR to the A is. That's the other part, I think. Is the AR has 2 of those M2 drives.
Yeah.
Spots. It's got one right here, and it's got one right here, so you can do like a RAID 0 on those drives. Can you imagine 2 960s and RAID 0? That'd be just like what? Crazy speed. Where are we at? Is Windows done?
No.
Come on, Microsoft. Well, I'm glad you guys are joining. I know this isn't super riveting stuff, but for techie folks and folks in looking to build, hopefully this is providing some sort of value for you. Again, this would be stuff that we are doing anyways, so being able just to do this instead of like doing all this crazy stuff to prep a video and stuff for you guys, hopefully this helps helps you guys in some way. Windows done? Well, it's almost done. I'm ready to see it burning. Come on. See, our live stream's always like orange. So unfortunately here we have Charter Communications for our provider. And while we have 120 to 160 meg download, they give us a whopping 5 meg upload. So for doing live streams, I got a very nice Sony 4K camera here that we use. A lot of YouTubers and folks use the higher end Sony cameras 4K, but with the live stream, since we have such a crappy upload, it unfortunately just downgrades the heck out of the quality. And there's nothing I can really do about that unless we move to an area that has fiber, because we do have some fiber areas around us. These motherboards still provide CD-ROMs. They need to start providing like little 2 gig SD cards or something with the drivers on them. Mm-hmm. You'd think by now they would move to that.
I guess the CDs are cheaper.
Yeah, but nobody uses them. When was the last time you guys built a PC with a CD-ROM in it? Or a DVD?
I guess their thought process is the alternative is go online and just download the drivers. I mean, that is, of course, unless your Ethernet socket's not working because it needs to have new updated drivers. That happened to me.
I'm just gonna put this to the side so I can do this quickly. Express. I don't care right now. No, normally I turn all that crap off on a build. I'll set my own. Again, we're using Windows for this right now because EthOS could not handle the 7 GPUs. I'm gonna skip this step. Where's the keyboard? Seven GPU. How about that? No, do not use Cortana. We're going to go ahead and put 17.4.3 drivers on these. We'll have to use the mod because the this driver signing mod, because it's not going to detect them. Man, I really hope that I don't have to pull the... We'll see. I don't think I will.
Hold the what?
So these are all modded already.
Yeah.
And on that mod PC, we have the...
Oh, the mod image. Or the base image.
The base image. Well, I copied all the base images up to the server, but the... I don't know if I'm going to be able to load the drivers. We'll see. We should be able to.
Yeah.
Because again, they cannot detect.
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I was building my my new PC. I got a Ryzen 7 and a new motherboard for the Ryzen 7, and I installed Windows 10 on it. But my image of Windows 10, I guess, didn't have the drivers for that Ethernet port on that motherboard. So I had to go and salvage a disk drive from another computer. Fortunately, you don't have that problem. Somebody asked if only Windows supports the 7 GPUs and not Linux. I don't know if we have enough information to definitely say yes to that.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get this loaded up. We're going to validate it. And then what I'm going to look at is see if the Linux image on Simple Mining supports it. And do some more research on that. No.
Yeah. We just know that it was having trouble loading EthOS. We don't know why, it was just having trouble loading.
It was kernel failed when I went to do the scan of the GPUs. And the second time we rebooted it, it went into EthOS safe mode, which then it got past that part and it only detected 6.
Yeah.
So it's not detecting the 7th. So I'm doing the minimal set drivers right now. This is 17.4.3. Inside 3 4-core, or is it 2-core and then 2 virtual? Yeah. Is that 4? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a dual core with 2 hyperthreads.
Or it could just be a pure 4 with no hyperthreads.
I haven't looked up the 6100 if it's... I'm just going to do the Express install. While that's going through there, I'm going to look at dry under manage, device manager.
It's 2 cores, 4 threads.
It's only seen 5. It's 5 adapters, and then it's got some question marks on a couple others. So we'll let this driver set get installed, and then we'll. And we're gonna get into the BIOS and make sure that all the ports are turned on too. Any questions that people have? How many?
Trevor Grant asks, how does simple mining compare to EthOS?
Spinning on the.
Yeah.
It's not froze up for people, is it?
Can I refresh this page?
Yeah. Okay. How much what?
How does simple mining compare to EthOS?
I mean, I put them really kind of in the same category. I think simple mining is just exactly what its name says, simple. You have a single USB, you don't need an SSD drive. It handles all the push configuration, all the driver updates, all the different updates with regards to the miners. Like, so if they're going to update Claymore versions, you essentially just give it an email address on the setup that it uses to authenticate you, essentially, because it'll give you a push, like 2-factor authentication to your email. You'll use that 2-factor authentication to get into your account, and you configure everything on their UI interface. You don't do anything on the rig. It's sort of plug in the USB into the rig and turn it on. So it's complete remote management.
There were some prior posts in here about one of them was like, the EthOS website says it supports 8+ GPUs in headless mode. So it should theoretically handle all 7 of these cards. Wireless Net 2 says the 7th GPU is probably being kicked out by the BIOS. So like the motherboard BIOS.
Mm-hmm. Well, we didn't do any BIOS settings. So. And it's going through all of its different GPUs it's setting up. Well, I wanted the drivers set in, installed anyways, and then we'll get into the BIOS after this. Windows is still installing drivers on like the motherboard and stuff. We kind of got straight to business on this thing before it even booted up.
Yeah.
Because it looked like the the installer froze for a second, and that's why I control delete and I left it on the black screen. But patience is virtue on this stuff, especially on like, since we do this stuff with slower CPUs, you know, like i3s are slower, and it takes it a second, even when you're running a solid state. Especially on a restart build like this, where it's, you know, it's a refresh build on this, where it's going to go on, it's going to update drivers, it's going to do all that stuff unless you turn it off. I don't turn it all off until everything's updated, and then I'll turn off Windows updates and all that stuff if I'm keeping a Windows rig. Once we get this configured and this is good and working on Windows, I'm going to take an image of this hard drive with this board, so I don't have to do all this again. You know, I'm going to clone that as an image.
Yeah.
And make that as a raw image from a hard drive image with all the drivers, everything installed. And then it'll be agnostic to the drivers or the cards we put in, because we'll just put the cards in and we can just update the drivers and the cards. That way we have an image build of that motherboard already pre-configured. I wish Windows distribution model wasn't so predicated on their licensing. Like we could set this whole thing up, get it all pre-configured without a license, and then post it, and then anybody could download it and it'd just be good to go and set up for them. And then yeah, if they got to buy a Windows license, so what? I mean, Windows could control it that way, and then allow people to already have pre-canned, strip down all the settings set up, and then it wouldn't be quote unquote illegal, you know. Yeah, this was not part of the build thing, but that's the way it goes when we do a live stream, when we do it fresh. It makes it for a longer live stream, and I know it drags on for folks that have been with us since the beginning of the stream, but rarely do you get a lot of people that'll go cradle to grave with you on something like this, and I don't care to. I mean, I'd rather do it this way and let you guys see the trials and tribulations with it, because it takes all that gap out of, like, if you're following a step process and you're like on step 5 and then you go to step 6 and you're like, well, what happened between here, because that's not what happened, that's not what it's telling me what happened. And what most of the time goes on is stuff like this, like you're installing, it froze up for a second, you gotta give it a second. You guys can see that, and you see that that's regular behavior on something like this. So the reason why this is going really slow, even with the solid state and everything else too, is that Windows is doing other stuff at the same time that this ATI driver is trying to install. Yeah, I'm seeing 6 right now in the device manager. So we'll have to go into the we'll have to go into the BIOS and make sure that that the other PCI or the PCI Express slot's not turned off. Man, I am yawning. We were up too late last night doing that other live stream. Windows should be almost done with this. Now after this reboot, we're going to go into the BIOS. We're going to play around with the settings in there and see if we can get that other GPU allocated to some resources. The longest ATI driver install.
Yeah, it's still going.
Well, it's installing the core driver now, so it's gonna blink like 6 times. And it's not tasking the disk or even so much the CPU. It's just all. Its scripted install is just slow. Yes. Well, it's probably got a lot of wait time built in. You know, like it has to get the OS time to do stuff, so it'll execute its piece of code. It'll commit the driver. It'll get its response. It'll post. It'll set. It'll wait its timer out, and then it'll kick the next one, and then that's what each time it goes blank. It's just running through its script. Waiting for the feedback, moving on to the next step. Looks like a few people try to join us on, we do have a Facebook site, a Twitter site. Longest driver install ever.
Hashtag painful.
Yeah. And then, wasn't there a question that somebody asked me why I don't use Windows?
I don't know.
This is why.
Yeah. I mean, all of the information that I'm gathering indicates that the Linux OSs should be able to handle up to 8 graphics cards, so
Yeah.
don't know what the problem with EthOS was.
What the hell is this thing doing?
Taking its time.
There's only one more exclamation point left. You know what I think this is. I know what the problem is. So it keeps rotating through all these. Or it kept rotating through all of them. Restart now. And it kept saying Windows is uninstalling, Windows is installing, Windows is uninstalling, Windows is installing. I think because these are modded, it was confused, and finally now it's just running the base driver. So it's not going to have like where I can right click and go into Catalyst or any of that kind of stuff. I bet when I reload this. If that's the case, then that's why that took so long. It's because these aren't vanilla. These ain't, out of the box.
It doesn't like them.
It didn't like them, and it went through its scripted series to try to load everything, and now it went to its minimum set, which is just loading the base driver with none of the other
So get the drivers,
frills.
then mod the cards.
Yeah. That'd be the typical. So I'm just letting this reboot. See, it's blinking.
Michael Llanos is echoing Todd Prang by saying, maybe we should have used simple mining. MMX2 says EthOS does not support Z170A or Z270P with more than 4 GPUs. He also says that they're working on a fix next update.
That's good to know. Thanks for the EthOS, boys. Alright, while that thing's trying to figure out its life.
Todd Prang says he was having the same issue with his Sapphires.
On more than one.
I guess. Maybe the modded GPUs and installing the drivers.
What I'm going to do is copy over the BIOS kit stuff real quick, and make sure there's a little toolkit in there that we have to make sure that it forces the signature piece. And I'll explain what I'm talking about in 1 second here. Mining, new, copy, paste. We still need to go to the BIOS too in this. It's not seeing the 7th card. USB stick out, then give us Windows. I think I missed the BIOS.
Andre said or asks, would you recommend ASUS STRIX 470 with 4 gigabytes for Ethereum mining?
Yes, they're great.
The 4 gigabytes?
4 gigabytes fine.
Okay.
Maybe just a little slower. Shut this down. Move on to the BIOS and play with some settings. So we're going in to the BIOS to adjust some of the settings to get that 7th GPU going, and then make sure all the drivers held on the board is not rebooting, unless it's doing a long post again. I was looking at the LEDs on it. There's a different LED light on it.
MMX2 asks, do you use these, or do you build these rigs and sell them, or use them for personal use? I think it's like a mix, right?
It's a mix, it just depends. We make sure that they are running solid for at least a week, and then if they're good and there are no issues, then sometimes I'll move them. But this is a new board, a new build, so this is more of kind of test before now it's not working to post. I knew I wanted to go into its BIOS and play with it.
MMX2 says he has 10 GPUs working on ASUS Z270p in Windows 10. So, wow.
The AMD driver only supported 8. I've never seen anything over 8. So this board is no longer posting. So we can do a, maybe it's
swapped primary cards.
No, I shouldn't have done that. So when I have a board do this, pull the power on this. Just like pull the cord out. Just let it dump the power out of the board. It dumps that 0 whatever 0.8 and plug it back in. So it's working again.
Yeah.
So if you guys have a problem, and this just is an ASUS, sometimes, and for whatever reason, some boards, like if you reboot and you start and it doesn't come up, pull the power and starve the feed off of any kind of energy off the board, let it set for a second, and then plug the power supply back in, and then flip the switch on it and then turn it back on, and then most of the time you'll be able to get into it. So that's kind of pro tip. Alright, let's go into some configurations here. Yeah, it's 2 cores, 4 threads, by the way. Hyperthreads enabled, boost, don't care. You know, you're asking if it was 4 core, 2 core, it's 2 core. That CPU is 2 core. PCI native power management. Okay, so PCH, PCI, MCI, I think I need to enable that. Force all links, I think so. ASPM, I believe that's the piece that lets me turn all of the we're gonna do LSL1. Let's set those.
Michael Yanos says we can't see what you're doing.
You want to zoom that camera down?
Yeah.
So we're going through some of these settings since this is a new board. So this was all disabled. So under the advanced, under the platform miscellaneous configuration, I'm going into the PCI Express setup. The PCI DMI ASPM, I'm enabling that. I'm setting it for both LOS and L1. I'm doing the link control to L1. And then ASPM, LSM1, and then both root and endpoint ports. Not messing with any of that. Keeping Thunderbolt off. We don't need any of that.
MMX2 posted the part of the link for the 10 card build. So we'll take a look at that.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn off the audio controller. Don't need that. I'm gonna disable the 3.1 media controller. Don't need that. We'll leave the RGB lighting on, it's cool. Leave the internal LAN controller on. We're going to turn off the serial port. And we're going to save all this. It kind of gives you a punch list of everything that's been done.
Итак, народ, сегодня меня попросили проверить, можно ли подключить два разветвителя.
We're going to see if we can see that extra 7th GPU. I'm only still seeing 6. We may need to load the drivers for the board on this too. I'm getting IRQ set issues with this. Board also. Yeah. There's definitely enough out there to get this done. But it's only seeing
It's only seeing the 6 cards.
it's only seeing 3 actually in Windows right now.
Really?
It sees 6, but it's got 3 that are disabled because of IRQ settings, kind of like the issue with the 170. You know, the board that's confirmed that it does 7 is the A, not the AR.
Mm-hmm.
But
This one's definitely running.
part of the part of this test was just to make sure that the AR could do it, like the A can. But there might be some other small hacks that we have to do to get it to work. We can try simple mining too. Yeah, we're gonna have to pull the plug. This board, for whatever reason, when you shut it all the way down, it doesn't repost.
Yeah.
See, that right there is enough annoying to me to where normally I wouldn't.
You want me to kill it?
Yeah, pull the power on this. Do we have? I don't know if we have the simple mining on one that I can pull. There's you can plug it back in. I want to try one more thing in the BIOS before I have to take this to the next level.
Tier 3 support?
Yeah, no. It's their support on this, or this, whatever this issue is with this board, to where it doesn't post after you shut it down, is kind of annoying.
Somebody posted a link to the BioStar motherboard on Amazon. In stock May 2nd.
May 2nd. Alright, so yeah, this board is not wanting to post after we shut it down. ASUS, your stock is going down with me. We should not have these kind of problems. This is the kind of stuff that the ASRock boards do not experience. Again, that's only 6. This build was supposed to be 7, so. See, you're gonna repost after you pull that power. It's just not. Come in there 1 second. Getting food request up in here. Let's see here. Priority. That's all speed and voltage.
MMX says the MSI Z170A Gaming Pro card works with 7 cards. There is even a crypto mining BIOS for it. But right now, that Z270P Prime is the best motherboard for mining.
Yeah, but we didn't. There's obviously a configuration to make sure that that's set right, to make sure that it enables all the GPUs. And it should be under this platform configuration. That's all data protection stuff. Network stack. We're gonna, let's see, which USBs are we using here? Because there's all these, like 14 USBs enabled on this thing. We'll figure it out when we go to find which one's plugged in.
And then the keyboard and mouse don't work.
Yeah, we'll figure that out when which ones are enabled. It's USB 3. USB 3, 1 and 2.
Looks like you're not using the USB 3s.
We'll plug them back in. Save.
MMX2 says to try enabling 4G decoding and make sure Windows 10 was installed in UEFI.
Yeah, it should have been UEFI. The 4G coding is for more memory space in the BIOS. Oh God! After this you gotta unplug this. Yeah, this. Even if we get this thing working, I don't even know if I'd keep this, because this whole thing, when you reboot it and it doesn't post, that is not for me. It's too inconsistent. No matter how cool and vanity it is to have 7 GPUs on one rig, you got to do the basics like start up every time I turn you on, without having to unplug your power. That's USBs. Yeah, I might have disabled the wrong ones.
MMX2 also suggests setting PCI lanes to Gen 2. He said Gen 1 and Gen 3 wouldn't work for him.
We should be able to do that. Yeah, we're still getting code 12. It may not have been in there in UFI. Where's the... Yeah, literally. After every restart, it doesn't post.
Okay.
Yeah, pull it. That is just crap. I wonder if that's... So, trying to think through this. I wonder if that's because of the running off a USB riser in 1X mode. that its default is to jog that first main port, and it's not detecting it. And then if we do a cold reboot on it, did you replug it back in?
Yeah. Oh. There we go.
That it's not doing the right post check, so it's not enabling the video. Not all that. It's storage.
Drop down for PCI Express.
Yeah.
Speed.
Gen 2. So we set that to Gen 2.
Oh, Ben, do you want to join my server? No. Why? Because I don't want to.
We'll disable all that. Well, it's doing some stuff with the ports now. And a lot of blinking. part of this whole entire issue too, guys, more than likely is we're a victim of our own circumstance of being prepared for the BIOS mod. These are not the stock BIOSes on these cards, so and since these were kind of really set up to go into EthOS and not have to have any kind of pre-Windows driver signature stuff done, that we could be having just a generalized issue that, you know, Windows is having a hard time with the driver signing of these cards. It's kind of could be a red herring, it could be
quick question from Orestes Antonopoulos. Is two 1060s better than one 1080 for Zcash mining?
Two 1060s
versus one 1080 for Zcash.
I think so. I mean, you're gonna have more mega hash, I believe, because the 1080 is gonna give you. Oh, I don't know. We were gonna test our Soul out on our 1080s here, but I think it's gonna be a little faster. It's just your reselling your 1080s is gonna be better. How long have we been on this live stream?
3 hours.
3 hours. Jesus. This was supposed to be an hour live stream, guys.
I know. We're not gonna do it like last night.
Yeah, so we're gonna go an hour longer. Yeah, we're losing cards now. Down to 5. I hate Windows. So what we did, we disabled something that's not allowing 5 cards on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested on simple mining if it just picks it up right out of the gate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you have a USB for simple mining?
I did. I think T-Prang took it. We can build one real quick though. I have the image now, so. Let's try that. Because I'm done with Windows for right now. It's too slow. It takes too much time. I'm trying to reconcile the. I mean, it's something that I'll burn on for hours until I figure it out, and then we can post it. But we've already
Spent way too much time
trying to get Windows to work. So we're gonna try simple mining real quick. I'm gonna update the title of the broadcast to failed.
So are you like?
Oh, I need a. Do need a USB. me to answer the questions if they have any.
Ain't got much right now.
Yeah, fails. All we got is fails and.
No USB.
Yeah, there's. I gotta find another one. We were just at Micro Center today, and I was gonna pick up more. You know, I was distracted. Too many people wanting to talk on tech.
Danilo asks, I want to start a rig. What do you think would be better, buying a GTX 1060 for Zcash or an RX480 for Ethereum?
RX480 for Ethereum. Unless he's going to use it to game on the side. Then get the 1060. No, just use that Windows disk and I'll reburn another Windows disk if I need it. Writing.
What do you think of nice hash? Is it a good thing or maybe a trap for beginners?
Nice.
So you've never heard of it?
Never heard of it. It's got a green rating from the Web of Trust. It's not considered a scam as far as they're concerned.
It looks like it's just it's a hashing farm. They're renting out hashing power to
Yeah, it should be fine. I mean, it's got a, I usually yield to the Web of Trust because it's a consensus-based trust system.
XPO Panda of a R9 390 will have better performance than an RX480. It's also going to use more power and expel more heat. So the you'll make a little bit less on a 480, especially if you overclock it, but you'll spend less on it keeping it up.
That thing almost built. Yeah, I think it's 55% complete on the image build.
Karen MLG says, I'm a student and I need extra money. Should I invest on altcoin mining? I pay $0.1 per kilowatt hour.
$1, so 10 kilowatt hours?
Yeah.
Say hi to the world. Because you're live on the air. So
Yeah, Karam, if you're going to go into like trading is more of like a, right now trading on altcoins is like it's like gambling. So if you buy into it, you have a risk of losing what you bought into, or at least significantly decreasing what you bought into. But you also have a risk of it skyrocketing as well, and you winning a lot. Mining is almost the same way. You have to put in a huge investment into these mining rigs in the hopes that one day you're going to break even and then start making more money than you put into the rig. And depending on the currency that you're mining, the value of that currency could quickly diminish.
or go up. That's
Or
part
go
of the
up, yeah.
that's part of the video that we did a few, probably 3 or 4 videos ago, where when you forecast what you're looking at, you do your break even, you figure out how much you got into a rig, how long it's going to take you to get out of that cost, figure it against depreciation, and by and large right now these things take about 4 months to 5 months to get out of, with regards to the cost, to get back at current prices. And when we did that before, we were looking at pricing of ETH of maybe hitting 20, right? That was the forecast. Well, ETH's 70 now, so I mean nobody could have really predicted that. So if you didn't sell out all your Ethereum that you earned, in our early price models for a 6-card rig like this that was R9 390s, a 6-card rig in March of 15 earned you 99 Ethereum in 1 month, one rig. So, if anybody could have thought that it was going to be $70, I mean, that's $7,000, right, in 1 month on one of these rigs. But so, it kind of goes for now. Like if Ethereum right now, if you're earning on one of these rigs 2.5, Ethereum a week, maybe up to 3 Ethereum a week on a full rig, making almost 200 mega hash, you're talking, so in 4 weeks you may have 12 Ethereum. That doesn't seem like a lot, but 12 Ethereum at $200, it starts to change things. At $100 it's 1,200, or 1,200. Now you're talking 2,400. So now you're talking about your whole rig done in a month. It priced relative to $200 Ethereum price. So that's the kind of methodology you got to look at. It's a forecast. Yeah. It's like anything else. So you're forecasting it. So if Ethereum's pricing right now, you got into this and you earned yourself in a month, you're probably going to earn close to 8 to 12 Ethereum, depending on difficulty and other folks getting into it. But at $70 in Ethereum, it's not, it's decent, but it's not going to pay the rig off. It's going to need a few more months. But if Ethereum blows up again even more, then it was a good investment. The folks that got into this early with BBT, when folks that around me that got into this, a few of them built 4 or 5 rigs, just let them go. They used it purely as an investment, had an initial investment cost of $5,000 on a couple rigs, never sold their Ethereum, have almost 400 Ethereum, and I mean 400 Ethereum, those rigs were $5,000 invested, and you talk about eight months 10 months of power cost on that one rig, $50 a month, you know, and then you end up doing the math on it, and you're coming out real well. So we did a whole video on that. I suggest to go back. I kind of broke down a couple of use cases on how that worked. I was just gonna check one thing before I turn off Windows on this completely, because that simple mining OS build's almost done. Yeah, all of them have exclamation points. The funny thing is, all of them say that they have no resources, even though we're definitely on one. Yeah, so I think this was kind of a mix of. I don't think that this is actually a Windows problem. I think it's because I've had these as modified as modified BIOSes, and it's not lining up with the driver signature. And I'd have to put Windows into test mode. I'd have to put all these back into the original BIOS spec, and then I would have to get them all registered on there, and then go ahead and do the patchwork on making sure that there's no driver signing on Windows, then remod each of these, and then I think I could get it to work with that. But I'm going to see if I can get around all that and just go with Linux.
MMX2 says it's ironic. A six card rig gets about 100 ETC a month. So
yeah, relative to, if you look at the, it's all about the difficulty, and you know, if ETC prices ever went up to 70, then you're in that same bucket, right? So, I look at it as there's got to be, at the end of the day, there's got to be form and function on the coin that you choose. There's got to be a purpose. It's got to serve a function in the long run. If it serves a function of just transfer money, that's the function it serves. But that's where like Ethereum and a lot of these other coins coming out, they have a function, they have a purpose. And if that use case gets leveraged, that's its gas. So that it requires, from a transactional standpoint, it requires the coin. It requires it as part of its process, that's the demand. The demand isn't like Bitcoin, where the demand is, I'm wanting to transfer value, and it's great for that. The demand's different when it's a resource versus that's the big delta there between some of these coins. And a lot of people just look at it from a monetary standpoint, but if there's a function for it, then that changes it, because now it's a resource. Ethereum by its core is a resource. Yes, it's being transferred as money, but it's used in the execution of the transaction steps, the processing of its underlying main core code. If you build apps for it, with the gas, so there's a different function for it, and that's why it becomes a lot more appealing. So this thing went right into the BIOS. Save and exit.
Karam MLG asks if you post anything anywhere about trading predictions.
Trading predictions. No, we really haven't done that. I need to go into the BIOS for this because I disabled all those USB ports, so I can't see the trading predictions of like what predictions that the coins would go up.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
like whether or not to buy or sell or.
That's so speculative. I mean, there's like binary option type stuff. So what I would say is go with do the research, find the coin that you believe in. The only ones that I would ever recommend, because I think that it has a good baseline on it, is anything that's involved with Ethereum and a subcoin of that has a separate function. Because at the end of the day, if those functions are leveraged in any capacity at scale, and what I mean by when it breaches that threshold of critical mass, it has a true no kidding function. That's why a lot of people are liking Ripple. Ripple has a definite, absolute function if it's going to be used to do international trade, transfers of wealth, and reconciliation. It has a purpose. So that's what makes a Ripple alluring, regardless of how oversold it is. It has a function. Ethereum has a function. Bitcoin has a function. I'm skeptical on something like Litecoin, unless Litecoin is exactly like Bitcoin. It's just using a different algorithm. The only purpose, for my opinion, and no offense, Charlie Lee, if you're listening, because I met Charlie before at a Bitcoin conference, but short of it being like in a testing development world, it could be used as the test case for Bitcoin, i.e. they just went through SegWit. Its success and ability to prove functions and features ahead of Bitcoin, considering it was forked off of it and it's very close, short of just the main algorithm, being script versus SHA 256, the SHA 256, it could be the test bed. So if Bitcoin's about to go and execute something, if Litecoin can go and execute on its behalf and validate that it works, then Litecoin has a function. Other than that, I mean, we already have Bitcoin, so I've always had that problem. It kind of goes the same way with Feathercoin. I was a big supporter early on in the beginning of the days. It was the third coin ever produced, created on the network. Or on the whole blockchain world, and it kind of fell to the wayside. Is that a kernel dump?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a trace call.
End trace.
We may have a kernel dump on this too. This could be the board, but what I'm gonna do is, oh no, it's getting past.
Still going.
Look, yeah, it took 123 seconds. We had a stack trace here.
ZHD asks, if you're a beginner, is it worth investing in it?
Yes, absolutely, unequivocally, no question about it.
As
I have told everybody on this that I ever interact with, that if you do not own a Bitcoin, buy 0.1, own some stake in it. It is by far, bar none, it is going to be, no questionably, it's going to be leveraged. There's too much invested in it. There's too many people that understand the underlying technology. And even if Bitcoin's main app is just value transfer, that's what it will become.
as always,
Our
though,
value storage transfer will be with something more like Ripple.
Yeah.
It's all about the rapidity, the rapid rapid transfer. Ripple, lightning fast, transaction speeds. If that's going to serve its, and this is starting, by the way, we're not ignoring this. If that serves its purpose, and Bitcoin becomes the true no kidding digital gold, and it yields its initial use cases that we saw with like BitPay and everybody trying to get everybody to use Bitcoin as a fungible type of source. If it yields that to the other currencies that are become more mature when it comes to the usability of it, such as something like, I don't want to say like Dash, but maybe something like Dash or you know, if another Ethereum type of coin comes out and is more focused on, you know, spending at the stores, that kind of, you know, Apple Pay type of thing, NFC technology stuff, you know, if it becomes like the digital cash, or a coin becomes a digital cash, I think Bitcoin's going to fall into that place of digital asset storage. It's going to be something it's finite, it's rare, it's only out there for 21 million coins ever in circulation. It's going to be an asset class. It's going to be, you know, for retirement, for, you know, somebody to hedge their piece on, encompassing the concept of the entire blockchain. You know, all of its value added of that entire ecosystem, its store value. Everything's going to be based on that, just like the U.S. dollars. You know, everybody else bases their value against the U.S. dollar. That's kind of the digital side. So for Bitcoin, first investment, no question, buy a portion of it and be invested in it. That I don't think is as much gambling as a lot of the other coins. Then you got to look at just, you know, find a coin that you really believe in and it's what its source is. Ethereum's good, obviously, and then I like Golem coin. I think I see huge potential factors of resource there, and then whatever ends up shaking out to be the best storage solution, if it's storage coin like Storage, now that they're kind of doing that bridge with Ethereum, whatever becomes the quote unquote standard on storing data and using that virtual share drive is going to be another huge coin. Right now, I mean, between, was that Sci-Coin, SC coin, and I think that's a storage coin, and then Sci-Coin, and then storage. I mean, I own both of them, just because I'm hedging on both of them. But
ZHD also asks
Okay.
if it's worth buying an Antminer S9 ASIC, or just building a rig for Bitcoin mining.
You can see I don't have any ASICs here. I stayed away from them. I mean, I've had them sent out early in the show and tested some for people, but they're boat anchors once they're invalidated. Yeah. Where did I put the laptop? Put the laptop somewhere?
Oh, your laptop's underneath the table. I moved it out of the way.
Okay. I need to configure the miner on Simple Mine. So I'm just going to put it to Claymore 9.2, and then what we'll do is I'll get the display of these on Simple Mine, and I'll plug it in from the laptop into this screen here so you can see it. So I'm just going to get logged in there and configure it. Because that's what the screen it's kind of complaining about right now, is it's telling me to go in there and configure it. That's a good thing. The OS booted with all of them in there. We'll see. And if this thing works right out of the gate, I'm going to have to apologize to everybody for taking 2.5 hours to find out that I should have just went to Simple Mining. Happens. Ordered us some food too, so that should be showing up soon. right. I do not see. I see the rig. I do not see very many GPUs though. Simple Mind's got Playmore version 9.3. Did that just come out today?
I'll look. Looks like 9.3 came out on April 11th.
Mm.
Wait, no. Oh, this post started April 11th, 2016. When did he update this thing?
God, I can't believe how big. Hold on. Let's see here. I need to set my.
Yeah, it happened today. 9.3 happened today.
9.3 happened today.
Yeah.
This guy's on it. Ready to put 9.3 out here.
Did you invest any money in ICOs?
Did I miss? I mean, I did the Dow like everybody else. That was a disaster. I haven't on anything else. I thought about doing Gnosis, but I didn't get in it. I was out of town.
I never did get my money back from Dow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lost it. I
I'll
didn't
only
pull
put
out
in-
when I should have.
I put in too much. I put in like 5 BTC into that damn thing. I think I had like 50,000 Dow or something. I don't know, whatever that was.
Jeez.
Huh?
I said jeez.
Yeah. Disaster. Says it's running.
Yep. If you're a beginner, what currency should you go with?
This is only showing 8.1. Did I select the right one?
8.1 what?
Well, it's Claymore's GPU miner 8.1. I chose.
The OS probably need an update or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're a beginner,
Oh, it's because I'm on A1.
if you're a beginner, what OS or what crypto should you choose to mine?
I'd mine ETH or ETC. If you're just trying to flip it, it's still only going back to 8.1. It's not showing all the GPs though. It sees 6. Not 7. Yeah, so this one's going to be more of a research project, not a fun. So I'm going to put on the header of this this live stream, failed. And we'll have to do some more research on this one and see if there is just a difference on the AR versus the A, because there is some video proof at least that the A works for 7 GPUs in Windows, but the AR right now is not. That's what it is. You know what that means? Well, these can't just sit here, so they'll go into I'll swap the that board probably, and at least have the 6 going with the other 6 there, and then those will be good. And then we'll figure out. I'll work on trying to figure out this board separately.
What the heck is going on with it?
Well, it's probably just there's probably very
Specific
settings you have to set to it to make sure all GPUs are going.
Hans Holzebos recommends the Pro Carbon.
The Pro Carbon? Haven't said a link.
With BIOS mod, we'll get 7.
Hit the
What?
food delivery.
Daddy said to get Daddy said to get 3 glasses. Glass cups. Like what
Yeah, I thought I would tell them that we're gonna kill it.
Why? I can't reach
All right, boys.
Just do it.
I think we're gonna kill this one for right now. If I can get this actually going, we're gonna burn on this a little longer after this and see what I can figure out with it. If by some miracle we get this thing rolling tonight, what I'll do is I will fire up another stream. We'll just cover it real quick of what we went through to get it done. Additionally, if we can slip a stream in tomorrow, or maybe I'll just do the video. I want to do the Zcash build. That's the 1080s that I have behind the camera and with the classifieds, and then we'll see if we can get that out. But we're not going to call full fill on this yet. We're going to do some research real quick and see if we can actually get this built. If you think of any other questions, post it on that video. All right. See ya.